Hey guys, wanted to go ahead and just do a quick review of the Sennheiser IE100 Pro to go from there. I was actually really curious about these because just there's not a lot of information about it. And I actually feel like when you type in Sennheiser IE100 Pro, a lot of the people who reviewed it kind of got this for free. So you could kind of tell like they would talk about what's in the box. They'd be like, oh, it has this, and then, but when they actually describe the sound, when you actually take it apart, they don't actually tell you how it sounds like. And you can tell they're kind of reserved. At least that was the impression I got. Anyway, so I wanted to go ahead and just give you my 2 cents on how these sound. And maybe it might be helpful for someone who might be interested in it. And to go from there. Okay, so I was interested in these because I have kind of a keen interest in IEMs that are, I would say, more neutral or would be good for either like editing or just something more, I would say, like a little bit more critical, so to say, right? And so I saw that Sennheiser this is kind of like their budget line. This is like nice. Okay, this is, I'm going to go ahead and read my notes here, okay? This is very V-shaped, and on the bassy side, it's quite bassy. It's also, on the treble side, it's quite sharp. So female vocals in particular sound very thin on this. But the bass is thumpy. Kind of like, I don't know if you've ever tried out a Sony XM4. It's like boom, boom, boom. So it's so weird because the bass is thumpy, but then the female vocals are thinnish and like synthetic and like thin. And it's almost like the bass doesn't help fill out those female vocals, so to say. It's almost like the vocals sound all thin, but then your bass is like boom, 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 like super loud. I'm like, oh, you got the worst of both worlds in a way. The other thing too is okay, yeah, I said vocals sound really thin. Vocals also sound very synthetic. In my opinion, the IE200, which is not their professional brand, it's more for consumers, but I actually feel the IE200 have a much more natural sound by comparison, and it just sounds, actually, in my opinion, it's not only more pleasant, but it's actually more natural sounding. This is definitely not neutral in how it sounds. Okay. Now, let's get back to the basics. So I wrote, these are fine for monitoring. The IE100 Pro is for monitoring, in-ear monitoring. And I would say, yeah, this is absolutely fine for monitoring. Like if you're looking just to, just check your tracks, this is perfectly fine for that. The other thing I noticed is male vocals sound thinner as well. And then I wrote right here, returning. Okay, that means usually what happens is I usually do a follow-up review on an IEM. In this case, there will be no follow-up review because I'm not keeping this. Okay, final thoughts here. I wrote kind of thin sounding. So it's kind of thin sounding. They kind of, and then I wrote, this would be fine for monitoring. So if you're using this for monitoring, it's perfectly going to be fine for that. And then I wrote, I wouldn't trust this for accuracy, right? So these are not what, because what will happen is it'll make your vocals sound thinner, but then it also add like all this other bass in it around, which really isn't at all what it's not accurate, right? And then I said the IE200 sound much better than them, and then I said like I wrote you, and then I said it sounds bad on female vocals. I know you can't read that. That's like chicken scratches, but overall, that's my 2 cents on the IE100 Pro. Just get the IE200 instead. But here, okay, now let's talk about other things that are more subjective. So the IE200 actually comes with a pretty bad cable. So this cable on the IE100 Pro is actually better. This is a better cable. And I wish they put this cable instead on the IE200. The IE200 doesn't have a good cable. I actually had to get a different cable and a customized one that is still a little half-assed, but it still is a lot better than the original cable. So it's just something to note. So that's that. Okay, bye.